Hey everybody, John Houlihan here. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a good day. This is the third video in the Great Guitar Tone series, and the song we're going to look at today is called Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. Very famous song. Most of you guys are going to know it. The idea of this series is to take well-known songs that have really signature guitar riffs and see if we can reproduce the guitar tone without necessarily using the exact same equipment that was used during the actual recording. So this is not a guitar lesson video, although I will attempt to play the song as accurately as possible. And also, one of the main goals of the channel is to help all you musicians to keep costs down. So we're not going to be running out and buying unobtainium guitars and amps that cost $50,000. We're going to try to do it with guitars and amps that are readily available to a lot of musicians. Okay, so Gimme Shelter was recorded at Olympic Studios near London in 1969, written by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. The song begins with a very recognizable and kind of ominous sounding guitar riff that uses a tremolo effect that gives it its signature sound. The song later went on to become one of the Stones' most famous songs, and there's actually a really interesting story about the guitar that Keith Richards used to record this song, and I'll talk about that in the next segment. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the original equipment that was used in the recording of this song. There's a really interesting story that surrounds the guitar that Keith Richards used to play on this song. So you're probably thinking, okay, maybe he used like a Gibson hollow body electric or a Telecaster or maybe even a Gretsch guitar or something like that. But basically what actually happened is he had a friend that stayed at his house a couple of days, and this friend had an Australian made guitar called a Maton. And this Maton guitar, spelled M-A-T-O-N, you can Google them and find that they're still being made in Australia. So this guy leaves the guitar, and then he says, okay, Keith, I gotta go. And he goes, I want you to look after this guitar for me while I'm gone. So Keith says, yeah, I'll look after the guitar for you. So then Keith proceeds to take this guitar to Olympic Studios and winds up using it to record one of their most famous songs. So it's quite an interesting story. It's this Australian-made Maton guitar. You can Google it on the internet. They still make them. And the other interesting thing is, according to Keith, at the end of the song, at the end of the last take for Gimme Shelter, the neck broke off the guitar. So it's really quite a fascinating story. The amp they used is not quite as interesting, but it's also interesting in some ways too. They used a Triumph Silicon 100 amp. Now, this amp was actually an early solid state amp, because don't forget, in 1969, you know, most of the amps were all tubes, which is what guitar players go for now. But in those days, powerful transistors were just coming along, and the engineers were saying, okay, now we're going to try to make some guitar amps using transistors. So this was one of the first powerful transistor amps, this Triumph Silicon 100 amp. So I guess they gave them to the Stones to try it out, and this amp also had a built-in tremolo effect, which is the effect he used for Gimme Shelter. So a really interesting story. You got your Australian-made guitar that falls apart right after the last note, and you got an early solid-state amp that Keith Richards used to record as well. So really interesting. My guitar, I don't have an Australian guitar, but the Australian Maton guitar was a hollow body electric. I do have a semi-hollow body Epiphone ES 335 with humbucker pickups, so that's as close as I can get. The amp we're going to use is not going to be, it's not going to be a Triumph Silicon 100 solid state amp. It's going to be a 15-watt Blues Junior Fender. It also has the reissue Jensen P12Q speaker. The effects we're going to use is my always on effect, which is the Boss CS2 compressor. And my amp does not have a built-in tremolo effect. So we're going to use a Boss PN2 tremolo pedal. And then for the lead tones later, we're also going to use a Boss BD2 blues driver. I should point out, by the way, that I don't get these Boss pedals for free or anything like that. I bought them all, pretty long time ago, just because that's what I wanted to buy at the time. So, so there's no particular reason why you have to use Boss pedals. You can use any tremolo effect as long as you dial in the rate and depth properly to simulate the tremolo effect that they got during the song. And of course, the microphone we're going to use is a Shure SM57 dynamic mic, nothing fancy. All right, so for the guitar we're going to use, we're not going to use the Australian-made Maton guitar, M-A-T-O-N, that Keith Richards used back in the day in 1969. But it was a hollow body electric, and I believe with humbucking pickups. So the closest we're going to get here in my studio is it's with this Epiphone ES 335, which is a semi-hollow body with humbucking pickups. By the way, semi-hollow body means that the sort of upper and lower portions with the F-holes, those are hollow, but there's a solid block of wood running down the center where they anchor the bridge and tailpiece. So for the intro riff right at the beginning, we're going to have the toggle switch in the up position because we're going to be using the neck pickup. And then for the rhythm parts, once they get going, we're going to use the bridge pickup, so we're going to put the toggle in the down position. So for the lead and rhythm, we're going to use the bridge pickup. For the really cool intro riff, we're going to use the neck pickup. Okay, so let's talk a bit about the effects that we're going to use. Boss CS2 compression sustainer, level at 12 o'clock, sustain at 12 o'clock, and the attack knob is at about the 3 o'clock position. I use it as an always-on effect, really smooths out the dynamics of the guitar. And the other big effect that you need for this is you need a tremolo effect. Now the Stones were using these Triumph Silicon 100 amps, which was an early attempt at a solid state amplifier. It had a built-in tremolo system, but we're going to use this Boss PN2 tremolo pedal. You can see the LEDs blinking on and off. That's an indication of the tremolo rate. In this case, the rate is at about the 4 o'clock position. The depth, that's how much it's varying the volume, is at about the 2 o'clock position. And on this pedal, I don't know if you can see, but for tremolo, you can have a triangle wave or a square wave. So we've got it set at the triangular waveform. That's an indication of how it's varying the volume, and that's sort of a more natural way to do it, in my opinion. So you don't need to use a Boss PN2. You can use, if your amp has a built-in tremolo system, you can use that. Or there's also a lot of other pedals out there that you can use for tremolo effect. The noise suppressor, that's just a noise gate, doesn't affect the tone. And then on the when we do the lead parts, we're going to use this Boss BD2 blues driver. Provides sort of a very mild overdrive effect with level at 12 o'clock. Gain is at about the I'm going to call it about the 8 o'clock position. Not a lot of gain, and tone is rolled off to about the 11 o'clock position. So that's what we're using as far as effects pedals go. All right, so let's have a look at the amplifier settings that we're going to use on our Blues Junior for Gimme Shelter. Preamp volume, we got 7. Fat switch is off in the out position. Treble 4, bass 3, mids 4. The master, we're going to run that at 3. And we're going to apply a little reverb, between 2 and 3 to give us the reverb. Now this amp does not have a built-in tremolo effect, so we're going to handle that using an effects pedal. Okay, everybody, we're going to go ahead and we're going to record the intro for Gimme Shelter. Really classic guitar tone. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We got our Epiphone ES 335 here. We got the toggle in the up position because we're using the neck pickup. We got the compressor on, and we got the tremolo effect on. So you can hear that tremolo. So here we go. Okay, so I think that went pretty well. Now what we're going to do is we're going to switch to the rhythm part. And for the rhythm part, we're going to switch to the bridge pickup at the back. So we're going to do this, and we're going to leave the tremolo on for that. So they do some pretty heavy-duty strumming here, and you can hear that the rate of the tremolo is kind of timed with the tempo of the song, so that the song has this really rhythmic pulsating effect. So here we go with the rhythm part. Okay, so that's the rhythm part, and you can really hear how the tremolo effect adds this rhythm, this like pulsating rhythm to the song. So now we're going to try we're going to go ahead and try some of the lead. I'm going to have to practice that a bit first. We're going to try some of the lead, and for the lead, we're going to turn on the blues driver, and we're going to turn off the tremolo. So there's no more tremolo effect now. So with the leads, you can hear he really does those bends. They sound great. It's not like super fast guitar playing, but it sounds amazing. So I think we nailed the tone pretty good. You guys can let me know in the comments section what you think. Thanks a lot. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the third video in the Great Guitar Tone series where we did Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. Please hit the subscribe button. Leave your comments. Let me know how close you think we got to the tone on the record, and any other improvements you think we could make. See you next time.